Good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming. I'm Hydee Feldstein Soto, your Los Angeles City Attorney, and I want to thank you for joining us here today. I'm here to reaffirm one of the core commitments of this office and of our city, protecting children and holding accountable those who harm our most vulnerable victims of crime. While this office has done a number of things in the protection of children realm, from the disruption of sex trafficking of minors along the Figueroa Corridor and enforcing state and local rules and laws against stores that are selling dangerous flavored tobacco products near schools, and partnering with our Attorney General Rob Bonta to protect minors from mobile applications. The work that we're here to talk about today is the ongoing work of a very talented group of prosecutors in my office, most of whom are here with me today, who have made it a priority and who have worked tirelessly to bring the scourge of abuse of children to the forefront and to make sure that the perpetrators, and it's usually in an intimate family setting, pay the price. So I'd like to introduce our partners in these efforts. To my immediate left is Los Angeles Police Department Assistant Chief Emada Tingirides, Director of the Office of Operations of the LAPD. Over on my right is Investigating Officer Tyler Casey, who is the investigating officer for the case that forms the centerpiece for today's press conference. And immediately to my right is Jane Halladay Goldman. She is the Senior Director of the Santa Monica UCLA Rape Treatment Center and Stuart House, which really specializes in gathering the forensic evidence and working with minors who are the subject of sexual abuse. I also want to really introduce the prosecutors from my criminal branch, who I am so proud to be working with and standing next to today. So over on the left is Deputy City Attorney Lara Drino, Deputy City Attorney Ralston Henry, and Deputy City Attorney Jennifer Loeblener Cortez. Over on my right is Deputy City Attorney Jennifer Waxler, Deputy City Attorney Heidi Matz. So this group of prosecutors, along with some other prosecutors from our offices around the city, really bring the bulk of our cases. Heidi Matz, for example, is in our Van Nuys office and works the same way we here in Central Trials work with Stuart House. The Van Nuys office works primarily with the Center for the Assault Treatment Services. Okay. CATS, it's called in the Valley. And so we cover this work across the city. Ralston Henry, who's here on my left, secured a guilty verdict that arose out of our Figueroa Street Corridor project, for example. So he secured a guilty verdict against a 49-year-old male defendant who solicited prostitution from a 14-year-old victim who was standing on the sidewalk along the Figueroa Corridor. The defendant was subsequently charged with 3 violations of the Penal Code and was sentenced to probation, jail time, and registration as a sex offender. Jennifer Waxler, who's to my right, was the assigned sex crimes prosecutor for the city attorney's office and brought together a multidisciplinary team at the Stuart House. She has, among other things, led the prosecution and conviction for Christopher Rodriguez, who was the UCLA preschool teacher at the Krieger Center, who was sentenced to 8 years last May. Lara Drino is the lead prosecutor on the case that brings us together today, and that's People versus Jacinto Mendez. It's a landmark case for this office. Why? Because this conviction is one of the longest sentences we have secured, at least in memory, for a defendant found guilty of sexually abusing a child. Mr. Mendez was found guilty on 13 counts and was sentenced to 12 and a half years in county jail. And the way we do that, as I'm sure most of you are aware, we separately charge each count. We ask the court to award the maximum sentence for each charge, and then we ask to have the sentences run consecutively so that, in fact, we get some real jail time to put folks away where they can't hurt kids anymore. He must also register as a sex offender for life on count 1. And most of the time we wind up with a keep-away order, an injunction that prevents these convicted predators from coming near children again. I'd like to thank the community who came together to support the young victim in this case: school administrators, Los Angeles Police Department, the staff at the Stuart House, which is part of the Rape Treatment Center, and many others. It is always important to center our conversation around human beings, victims who have been subjected to absolutely unthinkable and reprehensible crimes against them and their families. Cases involving the sexual abuse of a child are among the most gut-wrenching and difficult to prosecute for many reasons. There's very often very little physical evidence available, and the children may not always have the strength, fortitude, or foresight to reach out for help or to survive the courtroom process. So I want to thank the young victim in this case for her courage in coming forward, and thank my prosecutors and our partners in this work. A true partner in our efforts, who I believe is running a human trafficking workshop in February, is Deputy Chief Emada Tingirides, and without further ado, I'd like to invite her up to say a few words.
I feel so tall.
No, I'm so short.
I'm like, oh my God. Are we good? Am I good up here? So, good afternoon. I'm Assistant Chief Emada Tingirides, and as the City Attorney stated, I am the Office of Operations Director. Sexual abuse is a devastating violation that leaves deep scars on victims and their families. It affects our most vulnerable populations, including women, children, and in marginalized communities. The trauma of sexual abuse often leads to long-lasting emotional, psychological, and physical harm. As a society, we must come together to protect those who are most at risk and provide them with the support they need to heal. And that's what this team behind me has done. The LAPD collaborates very closely with the City Attorney's Office to bring justice to victims of sexual abuse and human trafficking. This partnership focuses on prosecuting perpetrators and providing comprehensive support to our victims. Our joint efforts include legal actions, community outreach, awareness campaigns, and together we are committed to making a difference in the lives of those affected by these crimes. We also partner with nonprofit organizations, and oftentimes they don't get mentioned. We can have prosecution, we can have police, but if we don't have the resources available to make our victims whole, they get re-victimized again. The LAPD and City Attorney's Office work hand in hand with these organizations to ensure comprehensive support for our victims. Our mission is to protect the vulnerable and prevent these crimes through a multifaceted approach. We aim to create a safe environment where individuals can thrive without fear of exploitation. Victims of sexual abuse often come from vulnerable backgrounds, including those with a history of family and sexual abuse. These individuals are at a higher risk of being targeted by traffickers due to their circumstances. Human trafficking not only affects individuals, but also has a profound impact on their families. Families of victims often face emotional, psychological, and financial challenges. The city attorney had mentioned it, and I'm really pleased that for the second year in a row, the LAPD, in conjunction with our South Bureau team, will be hosting our second annual Prevention Awareness Summit. It's on February 12th at 7:30 a.m. in Los Angeles at the California Endowment Center. I invite our nonprofit organizations, our community members, and families to come to this summit and listen about the signs that can lead to trafficking, sexual abuse, and hear from our citizens, community, and our public health workers on the impact this has in our communities. I want to emphasize that our fight against human trafficking and family sexual abuse is far from over. It requires the collective efforts of law enforcement, legal professionals, nonprofit organizations, and the community. Together, we can make a difference and take steps to protect the most vulnerable among us. Thank you for your continued support and dedication to such an important cause. And with that, the City Attorney.
I'm actually just going to step up to introduce Jane Halladay Goldman, the Executive Director of the Santa Monica UCLA Rape Treatment Center and of Stuart House. Thank you for your partnership.
Thank you.
And you can use the podium.
Right in the middle. Good morning, and thank you. I want to begin by expressing my sincere gratitude to City Attorney Hydee Feldstein Soto for her leadership and partnership in protecting children and in pursuing justice. I especially also want to thank Laura Drino and Jennifer Waxler, our dedicated deputy city attorneys based at Stuart House, whose daily collaboration with our team makes this work possible. Today is a reminder that results like the one being recognized here happen because multiple systems choose to work together across agencies, across disciplines, with children at the center. Since 1988, Stuart House has operated as a multidisciplinary team model that brings together prosecutors, law enforcement partners, the Department of Children and Family Services, and our own specialized forensic interviewers, child advocates, and therapists. The goal is justice and healing, reducing re-traumatization, limiting how often children have to retell their story, and ensuring that they are supported in a child-centered setting with the best care possible. When prosecution is successful, it is more than an outcome in a courtroom. It is prevention. It helps stop perpetrators from harming more children. It sends a message that our community will take children seriously, follow the evidence, and act. And it affirms something every child deserves to hear. We believe you, we will protect you, and you are not alone. But justice is only part of the story. Healing matters too. Children need trauma-informed therapy and evidence-based treatment so that they can regain safety, stability, and hope. When we intervene early and effectively, we reduce the long-term consequences of trauma, such as mental health challenges, disrupted development, and vulnerability to exploitation and trafficking. So today I want to recognize the City Attorney's Office not only for the work that you do, but for how you do it, for partnering with us in a way that is respectful of children, mindful of trauma, and focused on both accountability and care. Thank you for standing with survivors and for making Los Angeles safer. And thank you for being a critical part of the team that ensures children can move forward, not defined by what happened to them, but supported in who they can become. Thank you.
That concludes the formal presentation of this press conference. Happy to take questions if you have any. Sí, claro. But are there questions in English before we do that? Uno, dos, y tres. Okay. Aquí vamos. Buenos días. Yo soy Hydee Feldstein Soto, su fiscal y abogada de la ciudad de Los Ángeles. Es con mucho placer que tengo aquí conmigo las personas y las agencias que nos ayudan en el trabajo tan importante de traer justicia a la juventud, a los niños que o son la víctima de la trata de niños o que son abusados dentro de sus propios hogares o en sus escuelas o en la calle. Ya que estamos hablando aquí, la iniciativa bajo mi liderazgo comenzó con la trata sexual de menores a través de la calle Figueroa. Y en ese esfuerzo hemos trabajado para rescatar más de 250 menores de edad. Hemos puesto más de 2,000 de los compradores de los servicios a noticia que tienen un problema. Hemos arrestado, citado más de 200 de esos mismos compradores, y entonces hemos tenido más de 80 casos que le hemos referido al fiscal del condado o al abogado para los Estados Unidos, porque ellos son los que tienen la jurisdicción para traer justicia a los delitos mayores. Yo solo tengo la posibilidad de traer delitos menores. Hoy en día estoy aquí acompañada por la sujeta Chief Emada Tingirides, que es la directora de la Oficina de Operaciones del Departamento de Policía de la Ciudad de Los Ángeles. También me acompaña aquí a mi mano derecha Jane Halladay Goldman, que es la directora ejecutiva del Centro de Tratamiento para Víctimas de Violación de Santa Mónica y UCLA, y de Stuart House, que es un centro para donde traen a los niños para ayudarlos con la trauma que viene de este crimen. También quiero reconocer a los abogados que están aquí, los procuradores de mi oficina, con quienes yo me siento tan orgullosa de tener el privilegio de trabajar. Laura Drino es la abogada que trajo el caso que estamos discutiendo hoy. Ralston Henry, a su izquierda, es un procurador aquí en los juicios centrales, que trajo un caso acerca de una menor de edad de la calle Figueroa que fue abusada por un hombre de 49 años. Jennifer Lobliner Cortés está aquí al final, que también ha trabajado con Lara y con Jennifer Waxler en varios de los casos más notables que hemos tenido en esta oficina. A mi mano derecha, al lado de Jane Halladay Goldman, es mi procuradora, la fiscal Jennifer Waxler, que especializa en el abuso sexual infantil y trabaja con Stuart House todo el tiempo. Y a mano derecha es la fiscal Heidi Matz, que trabaja en Van Nuys y en el Valley de San Fernando, con una organización que en inglés se llama, se llama CATS, que es un centro para el tratamiento de abuso sexual, especialmente de niños, pero también el abuso físico de nuestros niños en el Valley. Así que con este equipo todos cubrimos toda la ciudad de Los Ángeles. Nuestros fiscales se encargan en traer los casos. En cada carga pedimos que, por favor, cada vez que el juicio resulta en un cargo de convicción, que el juez haga la sentencia máxima por cada cargo, y entonces que esos cargos vayan consecutivamente en vez de a la misma vez. Y así, por ejemplo, en el caso que estamos aquí discutiendo hoy, los cargos en contra del señor Jacinto Méndez resultaron en una de las sentencias más largas que ha procurado mi oficina en historia. Ay, perdone, se me olvidó también presentarles al oficial, el investigador de este caso. Si no fuera por la policía, nosotros no tendríamos la evidencia para llevar a la corte. Y fue gracias a Tim Casey, que está aquí al final, que pudimos traer este caso. En los 13 cargos el juez le rindió una sentencia al señor Méndez de 12 años y medio. Esa es una sentencia increíble para una oficina como la mía, que solo tiene la capacidad de traer delitos menores. Usualmente, casi siempre, la sentencia máxima es de 1 año. Y en este caso resultaron en 12 años y medio. También el señor Méndez va a tener que registrarse como delincuente sexual por toda su vida. Y los cargos que hemos traído aseguran que no habrán más víctimas, por lo menos no de este abusador en particular. Yo estoy muy agradecida a nuestra comunidad, a todos ustedes, para estar aquí y a prestarle la atención que este este problema tan tópico y tan difícil trae. El trabajo que hace la policía, el trabajo que hace Stuart House y Katz, el trabajo que hacen mis abogados y mis profesionales legales aquí para traer estos casos a la justicia, para trabajar con los niños, para estar seguro que más niños no sean abusados por estos traficantes, por estos abusadores, es la cosa más importante a la cual nosotros nos podemos dedicar. Porque la educación, la seguridad y la salud de nuestros niños es nuestro futuro. Así que muchísimas gracias. ¿Preguntas? Okay, pues muchas gracias por venir. Thank you very much all for coming.